青や強がって飛び乗って風に流って青空昨日を越えろ
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking Mons, our Digimon Adventure 2020 recap podcast. My name is JD, and joining me are my two good friends, Jeanette and Gary.
Hello.
Hey.
And we are going to be talking about episode 13, titled Garudamon of the Crimson Wings. I have some problems with this episode, but we'll get into that.
Me too.
The last handful of episodes have been dealing with everybody getting their ultimate stage. We got Megamon, then we got Garurumon. Last episode we got Lilymon. So this episode was Biomon and Sora's turn. So we got Garudamon at the end. And yeah, it's cycling back towards the Matt, Sora, Joe teams after everyone split off a couple episodes ago. And it's them dealing with a bunch of bees.
I like
Not the bees. Not the bees.
Well, the bees are really cute. They're like anime waifu bees.
Yeah, they're like plushy.
Yep.
The situation has been made worse with the addition of yet more bees. So first,
Digimon, is that what they're called?
The what?
Bumblebee, is that what they're called?
Fun Beemon.
They're
a fun bee.
It's Fun Beemon, then there's Waspmon, and then there's Cannon Beemon, who is basically a giant bee warship.
Yeah, I was like, when did we become a mecha anime?
Okay, so something I want to get out of the way now. It is really weird with this new anime when they put like newer, Digimon that were clearly designed more recently than the original cast designs. So it is really weird seeing like Biomon and Gabumon, who are like their evolutions, who are maybe a little more simpler designed. And then there's Cannon Beemon, who is this giant robot bee warship, who I think was designed within the last 10 years. And it's very like jarring putting their designs next to each other.
Yeah, and then you've got Fun Beemon, which has those really big like anime eyes and round features.
Yeah, I feel like Fun Beemon like fit in with it, but like Waspmon and Cannon Beemon, like it's very clear they have a different design sensibility than
yes.
Like if you look at the robotic or mechanical Digimon that are much older in design, they're still really rounded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like last episode with Gardramon and Andromon.
Yeah, and even the Metal wait, hold on. I keep forgetting their names.
Metal Greymon.
Yeah, Metal Greymon and what's the super duper evolution? Like,
Metal Garurumon.
Yeah. Well, even those two, they are really round and smooth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just weird seeing these newer designs juxtaposed against the older designs. I mean, they're all Digimon. It's all from the Digimon company. So, I mean, they're all canon. It's just very strange.
It's a long historic franchise with a lot of different designers. But sometimes you have to pick and choose something that's more aesthetically matching or aesthetically friendly towards each other.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's a lot of different designs over a long span of time, and designs are going to change. I mean, look at Gen 1 Pokemon versus Gen 8 or whatever gen we're on right now, Pokemon, and the design of those are like so. It's definitely it's actually kind of strange. Older Pokemon used to be a lot more spikier, but now newer Pokemon are more rounded out.
Because they want to sell them plushie merch.
It's true. It's so they can make toys.
Also, a lot of
Digimon.
A lot of it with Pokemon is the artists have changed throughout the years.
That's true.
Yeah.
We got Americans making Pokemon now.
Digimon wants action figures.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a robot mecha looking Omnimon figure, which I think Gary, you gave me.
I did?
Somebody gave me like an Omnimon build kit a couple years ago. I don't remember who gave it to me. He's cool. He sits on my shelf downstairs.
Awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, talk more about this episode. What did you guys think about this?
It's kind of... you go first. I feel like you have more to say.
Honestly, I liked it. Like, it was a solid episode. But I don't, as an episode focusing on Sora, it kind of failed spectacularly, if that makes sense. Like, it was nice to have the teamwork and see them playing off each other and such, and that's something I want to see more of the series. But I want it. I could go on pretty long, but basically, Sora, I feel, at least in this iteration, is the least developed character, and this episode did not help that at all.
I completely agree.
Yes, I agree.
Like, I feel like in the original series, she had a lot more personality, and this one, she just exists to be Matt's waifu.
I'll get more into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
I got some words.
Like, it's kind of forgettable, this episode. All the other episode, there is like memorable moments. Even Matt's like weird personality quirk that we talked about during his episode seems a lot more like it stands out a lot more. This one just feels like in a random episode from like earlier before they split up.
Yeah, like there's a few small things I really like, just like a few animation details, but there wasn't really any big standout moment. There's no bear hat.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Yeah, it's a lot of the fun Beemon who are being captured by the Wasp Mom to take back to Canon Beemon. There's a lot of bees. And Sora is just like, we gotta help them. And then they go help them. And then they get taken inside Canon Beemon, who is a giant warship. Not really so much a Digimon as just like a ship, mostly. By the end of the episode, they dismantle him and his head falls off, and it's just
and it blew up.
He's not a sentient being, mostly.
Yeah. Although there was the moment where like Joe and Golemon just fell out of the basket thing, and both my husband and I went at the same time. God damn it, Joe.
Yeah, and I didn't like how Joe got kind of left behind at the end. He's like, I'm just gonna stay here and shoot at the bees while you two go off and like infiltrate the warship again.
Well, as I was saying with my husband, like when they encounter the fun Beemon, it's when they come down to find Joe. It's like, Joe, what about Joe? Fuck Joe.
Yeah, Joe just kind of gets like, all right, well, I'll hang out here, I guess. Kakumon will shoot some missiles, I guess.
And
it does sort of make sense.
Yeah. Well,
like,
what I was
tactically speaking.
Yeah. And then basically, but they seem like when Sora finds Fun Beemon, she's like, I'm gonna save Fun Beemon. They seem to completely forgotten about saving Joe. Like,
yeah, he's fine. He could take care of himself.
I actually thought he wasn't gonna come back till his ultimate episode, and they were just gonna not find him.
Joe disappears for 2 episodes.
Actually, that would be an interesting character development thing.
That would have been good for Joe. He would have learned to take care of himself and be self-sufficient.
Yeah, man. He's the oldest kid. He needs to be self-reliant.
He's Senpai. Joe Senpai.
He is Joe Senpai, and I think it's hilarious they keep calling him that.
Yes.
He's Joe Senpai. It's just because he's the oldest.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm not really jazzed about how they're handling Sora's character in this show. I just feel like they're not doing nearly as much to like endear her character or really kind of highlight her personality.
Yeah, didn't she correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't she kind of hot-headed in the original series and have a bit of a temper?
Not really. I mean, she's usually the one who's like trying to keep people together. It kind of start getting to like their family dynamics later in the series is when like their personalities really really kind of started to develop more. But like even before that, like you could tell she has some kind of personality. She just seems so blank slate in this show.
Yes, as she just doesn't have any defining
She-
characteristics.
Her defining characteristic is girl.
Yeah.
And which is kind of ironic because Mimi was that.
But Mimi is
originally.
like the prissy kind of little bit of a crybaby girl, so that at least endears her personality a little bit. Sora is just like she's there. I guess she really has a big heart on for like saving the weak, which is more pretty much why Garudamon comes about this episode.
Mhm.
Like
And
the
I guess sorry, go ahead, Gary.
like that motivation wise, there's nothing wrong with any of the motivation that she has. It's just her personality compared to all the other characters just isn't that, I guess, animated or really well conveyed to the audience.
Mhm.
No.
Like Mimi, Tai, and Joe are very like very just like very expressive, really out there, and that's their
Even-
personality.
Even Izzy in this episode was
Yeah,
showing
the few seconds that we see him.
Yeah, because I mean, it makes more sense for like Izzy and Matt to be a little more reserved because Izzy is like really kind of introverted computer nerd. He's always on his laptop. I get why he's not like, you know, screaming and like moving around nearly as much. And Matt is
Excuse
like
me, it's a
he's
tablet now.
He's King Emo now. Well, he's always been King Emo.
But they're both really distinct. Like Sora, you can pluck her out of this anime, put her in any other like anime that's like, actually I don't even know any genre, and she would just kind of just be there. Wouldn't really change anything.
They've kind of just turned Sora into the ideal Japanese girl, but with that, they've sacrificed anything that was interesting about her.
She is the girlfriend to the main antagonist or to the main protagonist of every anime.
Yeah,
she's not there to challenge any of the other characters. She's just there to be happy and helpful whenever she can be. And that is the extent of her character. And that is not what original Sora was. And as much as I didn't like what they did with her in the second season, where she kind of started leaning more into like, I'm going to be a professional flower arranger, which I think is a weird direction for her character, but they're sticking to it, I guess. You could still got a lot of personality out of her. And I don't think we're getting that out of her in this show.
that's why I said they've done Sora dirty last episode of the podcast.
Yeah, they done my girl dirty.
It's kind of weird that the way that they're doing Sora has less personality than like any like monotone, very serious anime character from like any series, like the generic tropey serious person that never cracks a joke, that doesn't like show emotion.
Yeah, at least that's like their personality. Like Sora's just kind of blank canvas. We'll put her in whatever situation we need her to adapt into. I mean, I guess they're kind of getting into like she has like I'm hesitant to say maternal instinct, even though I've called her teen mom. Where like, you know, in the Where Garurumon episode a couple episodes back, where she was like, hey, these little dudes are hanging out in a cave because the scorpion man outside is like keeping them from leaving. She's like, we need to help them because they're weak and feeble and can't defend themselves. And that's kind of a repeat here in this episode. So I guess that's the crest of love. Sure.
In that episode, she has more personality, and it make more sense when I'm thinking about like the motivation to evolve. I feel like this isn't. There is less thing going on because Matt is here. He's willing to help, but in the previous episode, where Matt just left. I feel like Sora, if she picked up the mantle, decided to help, then the super evolution happened, that would have been a lot more impactful.
Yeah,
That would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have way been more impactful if it would have happened 2 episodes ago when where Gurumon's episode instead. It totally would have made more sense there. But yeah. Okay, I want to get this out of the way just so we can move on from it. I have made it's no secret I do not like Matt as a character. I never have, for a multitude of reasons. But man, there's a scene in this episode that bugs the living shit out of me.
Is it the one where he's a fortune cookie again?
Okay, so it's after they leave. If I'm remembering the sequence right, I watched this on Sunday, and it's Wednesday now. If I remember the sequence right, it's after they leave Joe and Matt and Sora are flying back to the warship to go rescue all the bees out of it. And Matt just looks over at her and is like, I knew you were, as soon as I saw that bee, I knew you were going to help him. It was just like those guys in the cave. I knew you were going to do that. And then Sora just looks over and she's like, yeah. And I literally out loud, I'm like, Sora, don't be endeared by that asshole.
Exactly. No, I agree. Like,
no. Matt is a dickhole. He's always been a dickhole and he'll continue to be a dickhole. So just because he feels like he knows you, don't be endeared by him.
It's like this YouTube video that I watched, which was about the kissing booth. And it's like, it's a broody teenager with a dark past and a violent temper. It's like what every woman wants in these teen anime shows. Although he doesn't really have the violent temper, but
no, but he's still an angsty douche.
He's an angsty asshole who only Sora can dampen his toxic traits. Not Kai in this one, but Sora.
Oh god.
You know I'm not wrong.
How did she marry that man? It is a problem I've had for near 20 years. Forever the fuck old. And I mean, yeah, I've never understood how the original show decided, yeah, Matt and Sora belong together. That makes sense. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
And I kind of feel like the Digimon has been, because fans really didn't like when that happened. I feel like the response has only been to double down on that hard and be like, we know better than you guys. This is how it should be.
Well, look, I'm fine with whatever, like, shipping with anime characters or really anything shipping. It ultimately is meaningless and dumb and does not mean anything. Plenty of people who completely support and like back up the Sora Matt pairing. That's fine. I don't agree with it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to say that you're wrong, even though you are. The JD household stands Tyora forever, and I will die with that until they fix it, but they won't. But yeah, so that's JD's rant for this week.
There's always fan fiction, JG. Always fan fiction.
I'm too old for fan fiction anymore.
I mean, we're too old for Digimon, and we're still watching it, so.
But we are viewing it through a critical lens.
Yeah. And it just doesn't mean as much unless it's coming from the official source. At least for me. That's just my opinion.
They're never gonna, they've made it clear though, they're never going to back down from, as I said, they're doubling down on this, in this show at the cost of Sora's personality.
Well, I just hope that,
and also sorry, go ahead, Gary.
Well, I just hope that they, since this is a reboot, that they will hopefully at least write some more chemistry with them. Because right now, I guess we just haven't seen them interact that much, because Matt is such a, air quote, cool, silent guy.
I also have to keep reminding myself that these characters are 10 years old. I didn't even know if I liked
Sora,
girls. When I was a
Don't
kid.
marry the man that you meet when you're 10 years old. Just don't do it.
I think that's just good life advice for anybody, really.
Yeah.
You know, play. You know, if what you need, don't marry people you knew as a child. Get out there. There are plenty of people in the world. Meet those people first. Feel out your feelings, and then if you really feel like that blonde dick who remains that way into adulthood, as far as I can tell, you really feel that's who you belong with, and God bless you. You go do you.
Yep. We are now the Digimon Life Advice podcast.
Hell yeah. Okay, and there's one other thing I want to gripe about, and I promise this will be the last time I gripe about it, because I gripe about it on every episode that it comes up, and I'm tired of doing it. Bergermon and Garudamon did not get full evolution sequences. They kind of did. They got like half an evolution, but it transitions back into the main scene. It doesn't have a finisher like everybody else's does.
Yeah, Biomon's eyes changed. That was high quality.
Like, so everybody else has that evolution sequence where like, okay, I'm evolving, and it transitions into the next stage, and it like does that freeze frame on them for a second where it's like, you know, like the old Shoden. Bergermon, they finally let Biomon like have half an evolution sequence where she starts transitioning into Bergermon, but it immediately like transitions back into the scene and has Bergermon flying off. Same with Garudamon. Has Bergermon kind of changing into Garudamon, but then immediately transitions back out into the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why is so like, okay, I get that like Agumon and Gabumon are like the big two, so they get the big flashy evolution sequences.
They're why is Sora toys? So
yeah, but why is Sora and Biomon? Why are they getting the ones that are half-assed?
I feel like since they are flying and have to be in motion, they just want to keep it in motion, because excuse me, the first time that we see Agumon evolve, it's kind of like this, but slightly slower. Like he was like punching out and transition into the action.
Yeah, but like since then, Agumon has gotten a full evolution sequence. We've seen Biomon go into Bergermon several times, and it's exactly the same way. It's just now until this point where we get more of it, but we still haven't seen it finished. I don't know, man. I'm tired of complaining about it, and I promise I will not bring this up again until it's actually fixed.
Okay.
If they actually finish it, I'll be like, yay, they finished it finally. But up until now, I'm like, all right, I've resigned myself that Sora and Biomon are getting the short shift or short shaft and whatever in this.
I wonder if Kabuterimon is going to be like this.
See, I like Tentomon into Kabuterimon because you like see his like little hand, his little claws and his little nugget fingers, and they turn to like Kabutarimon's like giant fucking fingers and shit, and it's like great. I do want to see what they do between this and the next episode. We're getting Mega Kabuterimon.
Yeah, well, I mean, like for the next episode, since they're both flying Digimon, I wonder if they're gonna share this type of like fast transition into the scene, into the action evolution kind of thing.
Yeah, I wonder.
I guess we'll find out.
So it might just, if it is, then it's a stylistic choice, not a budget reason.
I guess, or it's just because they hate Sora. I'm just gonna have like I'm gonna have my weird conspiracy board on the wall of like why the showrunners hate Sora. I always want to bring. My wife absolutely hates Kabuterimon. Like she thinks he's the ugliest sin and hates like how his mouth is always open and like he's just disgusting. And when the preview came up and like Mega Kabuterimon shows up for like 2 seconds, just a reaction. I'm like, yeah, he's a who turns into a bigger, uglier bug, and he will eventually turn into an even bigger, uglier bug.
Oh, I love Kabuterimon though. He's like,
no, that's the thing. Like as a gross bug, and I love him. And like even like his final one, I think it's like Hercules Kabuterimon, where he's like yellow or some shit, and he's like bulky as hell. Like I love that. I think he's great. I think his design is amazing.
See, what I've always appreciated about the Digimon designs is they're not afraid to make a Digimon design that's ugly or weird.
Oh no, yeah. See, Pokemon is cutesy. Digimon is ugly.
Everything.
It's a little bit of everything, and it's definitely made for 10-year-old boys because Greymon, who is a giant fire-breathing T-Rex with a skull helmet, and Kabuterimon, who's a giant gross bug man with his mouth always open, has a weird like exposed rib cage. Yeah, that appeals to 90s boys who want hardcore gross monsters.
And awesome action figures.
That's true. Yes. I had a few Digimon, like, you remember I had the transforming Digimon figures?
Oh my god, I wanted one so bad.
I had the Greymon to Metal Greymon, I had the Bergermon to Garudamon, and I had the Patamon to Angemon one. And I always wanted the Kabuterimon one because I thought it looked really cool. I never got it. I think I have the Greymon one somewhere still, but I think he's missing a foot and his nose horn. But
you can be like Ogremon.
Yeah, he's got experience because he's missing some shit. But yes. So do you guys have anything else you want to bring up about this episode?
Yeah, there's actually two other things I want to mention. They're just kind of small things that I really liked in the episode.
Sure.
First was when Wergeromon was like rescuing the Freebemon, and he has like one tucked under each arm. And I just thought that was really cute.
But they don't need it. They can fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no point. And the fact that there's like bags of other the Fun Beamon, and they're literally just flying next to him. But he decides he's gonna carry two of them. You know.
And then the other thing was Golemon, how he decides rather than walk around, he just is carried around on a carpet of fishes the entire episode. I thought that was fucking great.
Okay, so that made me laugh really hard and actually answered a question for me. Because I've always wondered, because Goemon, like back in the original series, when he would do his fishes attack, he was always in like a body of water. So I just assumed that he's just like summoning, like he's like Aquaman and just summon fish to attack for him. And I've always just wondered, like, okay, well, where are the fishes coming from? Are you just collecting the fish around? And we learn here that no, he actually just summons these fish from midair and they disappear when he's done. So when he's like just surfing around on his little, when he meets back up with everybody, the fish just disappear.
Yeah. I just assumed for the longest time that those are just other Digimon in the ocean or lake or whatever.
Yeah, it's what.
No, that's totally what I thought too. So, like at later points when he was just summoning them, I'm like, where is he summoning them from?
Yeah, because I mean, it's like everyone else's attacks are like laser blasts and like flames and shit. I mean, Metal Greymon has weird little chest missiles with teeth on them, but I don't know. The fishes just seem like those should be like live sentient beings, and I figured they were just helping him Goemon out because he's like king of the sea, I guess. But no, they're just his attack that he summons, and then they dissolve when he's done. I'm just glad to have an answer for it, really.
Yeah, I was wondering too.
I feel like it's possibly a cost-cutting measure instead of animating him walking around. It's just fishes.
But it makes sense for his character. He would do that.
Sense.
Because
it makes sense.
I mean, and it's faster because like he's only got really front legs. His back legs are essentially useless. They're little floppy things.
Yeah.
Because he's tiny and adorable and has a little mohawk, and he's my wife's favorite.
He's the best.
We're standing. My wife and I are sitting around, and every time Goemon's not on, you should be asking, "Where's Goemon?"
I do like when Joe went diving out of the balloon and Golemon, good old loyal Golemon, he can't fly, he can't do shit, but he just goes diving after him.
I love I think the thing that made me laugh the hardest in this episode is where Joe is like, "It's cold, go come warm me up." It's like, that's such a Joe thing to say.
Oh, their relationship is the best between Joe and Golemon.
It really is. I love Joe and Goemon. But just like Joe is such a fucking stick in the mud, and he got saddled with like the it's good stuff. See, the show doesn't like do everything great, but like their relationship is like A+.
It is.
Gary, is there anything you wanted to bring up?
Nope, I'm good. I feel like I will have more, a lot in the next episode. I'm guessing.
We'll see, man. I mean, we get Mega Kabuterimon on next week, and I love that guy. He's cool.
My favorite boy is in the next episode, so
Your boy. All
is
right.
he?
Yeah. Jeanette, do you have anything else?
I one more thing, because I just like the little things in the show. I do like when they cut over to Ty, Izzy, and Mimi, and they're like fucking with Izzy over his iPad or whatever. I thought that was pretty great, actually.
It's actually very consistent about through all the incarnations of the shows. The Ty's response to most things is hit it.
Yeah, I actually thought their interactions in this episode were far more interesting than anything between Sora and Matt. Going back to them.
It's just like I don't know if I brought this on the other show, but I fucking love that Ty and Izzy of all people are best friends, where Izzy is this little shut-in nerd and Ty is just like this big dumb jock, but they're like best friends.
Oh, I do have one last thing to add.
Okay.
It's retroactively disappointing because I misread the subtitle. The Fun Beemon, I misread it as Fumblebee. And now I can't stop thinking about it. It's like Fun Beemon. That's a terrible name.
Well, it's
like
weird because
it's fun. It's like Bumblebee, but fun.
Well, it's weird because I had always seen it as Fan Beemon, like FAN. Anytime I'd like look on the Digimon wiki, like over the years, like because like these bees are like they've been in the Digimon canon, like whether it's in the card game or whatever, for like years. And I've always seen it as Fan Beemon, but I guess it's Fun Beemon, or maybe that's what it is in Japan. I don't know. Fumblebee. I like it.
Isn't it much cuter?
I like it. It just needs the mon suffix. Fumblebeemon. Fumblebeemon. I dig it. Let's do that. That's what it is from now on.
It's canon.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. There's our review for this episode. Let us know in the comments where it's on the YouTube.
Oh, one more thing. Sorry,
oh yeah,
yes,
Jeanette, you wanted to mention something. I completely forgot.
Anyone who, my sister is a writer. She sent out a newsletter and she linked to the podcast from the newsletter. So anyone listening to that from there, welcome. For anyone who'd want to check her out, she does a lot of horror and a lot of fantasy stuff. And her website is deadfishbooks.com. So go ahead and check her out. Just wanted to return the favor since she was nice enough to give us a shout out.
Yeah. Elizabeth is your sister, right?
Yeah, and she loves to listen to the podcast. Like she listens.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I remember meeting her, back in high school. But yeah, thanks for checking out the show, and I'm glad that she's enjoying it. And yeah, guys, check out her stuff if you got a second. We like to show a little love to our listeners and friends of the show and all that. Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah.
I have nothing to plug.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and let us know what you thought about this episode. Like on the YouTube video for this, or if you want to go to our Facebook or Twitter, or you want to join our Discord, you can let us know your thoughts there. The links for all of those will be in the description of the episode. And if you're not doing so already, we are available on most streaming services, so go ahead and check us out on there if you want to take us on the go. But until next week, everybody stay safe, and we'll catch you all again then. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
See you next week.